Hi, I'm Kelly and I'm here with Karyn, and we're here to answer your grief questions. We have new videos come out every Wednesday and Saturday, so make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our latest videos. And we are in the thick of the holiday season, so we are continuing with our holiday questions. We know how difficult the holidays can be for people who are grieving, and especially if this is your first holiday season, you may be asking yourself a lot of questions about how to navigate this. And so today's question, I think, is a really good one, and I'll ask Karyn is, how do I balance my need for solitude with social obligations?
Yeah, and this is definitely, I mean, a holiday question for sure, only because there's more social obligations probably, but this could certainly be something that you think about year round. I know, I think one thing that surprises people is how much a grieving person does need that quiet and needs that time. I don't know if it's because there's so much going on in your head when you're grieving that being around a lot of people can become stressful, overstimulating, like it just feels like entirely too much. It's like noise, literally and figuratively, I think. So people do need that solitude. And it's strange because, like, let's say you lost the person that you share your house with, then there is that quiet, maybe some of that loneliness, and yet being pulled in to a bunch of group things doesn't feel right either. I think where this gets tricky and hard sometimes is not in every case, of course, but I know that the people that I speak to who have lost a spouse and their adult children will really be trying to yank them out of the house. Like, come on, let's get you to do this. Let's get you moving. Let's get you out. And while, some of that distraction can certainly be helpful and healthy, it can feel like too much for a person. So, in terms of balancing it, I think one, recognizing how you're going to need to be your own advocate. We talk about being like our own health advocate, like when we go to the doctor and things like that. Well, we sort of have to be our own peace advocate for ourselves and for what are the things that I need. I do believe that grief is very instinctual. And so I think while we don't always know what we want, we do know what we don't want. And so it's okay to feel that way and to vocalize that and let people know, because that's the thing. I think more than likely people around you are going to be trying to keep traditions going and keep you active. So it's going to be a matter of letting people know that, no, I understand that it seems like it'd be good, for me to be out, but I actually just do a little bit better when it's quiet and when I just have a little bit of time to rest. If there are obligations that can't be avoided, then I always say to people, like, okay, if you're going to Thanksgiving or, Christmas Day, New Year's, whatever it may be, then absolutely the day after should be a pajama day, or, taking off from work, or don't load up, this person's in from out of town and we're going to, go to a show, we're going to do all these other things. Like, it's just too much,
Yep.
So I think all of the obligations that you have to do need to be followed up with quiet. And other than that, just recognizing that, like, yeah, this is what you need right now. It's part of the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, even if maybe you're going to your adult children's house and you have to stay there because it's the holiday season,
Yeah.
maybe you kind of know, like, you give them the heads up, like, I might need to take some breaks. So can I go into this room? And I've even told other like clients that, like, even if you're just going to somebody's house for the day, be like, I want to come, but if I need to take a break, where would be a good place for me to go have a few
Yeah.
minutes by
Good
myself?
idea. Yeah.
And I think that can be, it's okay to do that. It's okay to take those breaks in those social settings, because there could be triggers, there could be things that, can be hard to see or hear, or you just don't want to be involved in that conversation.
Right.
And that's okay. So about making sure that you're taking that space and that time, and you're not just going and hiding in the bathroom and crying. So I think it's always a better thing to kind of just have a plan in mind. And that also will help people. And if you're somewhere, you can always leave. You don't have to stay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think, you can always change your mind 5 minutes before you leave. If you're like, no, I can't do it, it's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
And, just saying, this year, I just can't do it.
Right.
And I
Absolutely.
need that. I need
Unapologetically,
exactly. I need
Yeah.
that downtime. And, you and I have spoken about, that feeling you have after a lot of that social, the day after, right? That emotional hangover. and it can really hit you. And sometimes for people, I feel that the majority of my clients leading up to days like holidays and birthdays and anniversaries is usually harder than the actual day.
Hmm.
But then there's a good number of my clients that crash the day after these events.
Yeah. I say that to people a lot. And it's like, I think we both feel like we probably have to be careful making predictions of this is
Yes.
how it's going to be because it's so different for everybody. But here, you and I are both saying the same thing, that it's like the lead up, the dread is terrible. The day of is like, okay, like that, I
Mhm.
got through it.
Yep.
Probably because it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. But then it's like a crash of all of that build up and then the letdown,
Yep.
that comes. And I like the point that you said, because we're talking about solitude. It doesn't just have to be in your own home. That's often why I tell people to drive themselves if they can, because
Mhm.
even just having those moments in the car to kind of gather yourself, or to allow you to have the freedom to go when you want, go late, leave early, or just to use that time to kind of regroup, I think can be really, really helpful. So maybe it's also about finding the solitude where you can get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So to sum up, how do I balance my need for solitude with social obligations?
Well, I think, like we would say, Kelly, a lot of times there's just, communication and being an advocate for ourselves, for our grief, our needs, whatever that may be. Um, Changing the rules a little bit in terms of like how things normally go, and finding solitude where we can, and planning for not just the days themselves, but the days that follow, and making sure that we are carving out time for that quiet that grieving people absolutely do need, and making sure your family understands that that's just part of your process right now, and that may not always be that way, but it's really important.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Karen.
I did.
And thanks for watching. And if you have some questions for us, please feel free to reach out to us and hopefully we'll answer them in a future video. But stay up to date every Wednesday and Saturday. We have new videos come up. So take care.